Okay, so yep, back to YouTube. So in this video, I'll be talking about the NBA's really bad loss from last night, man. So yeah, I'm just talking about the NBA news in general. So so if you guys been watching NBA, you guys know what's going on, right? This news is probably not a joke, guys, and it's not. And it's very embarrassing. It's very sad, and it's very painful, man. Something really bad on news happened. I'm not talking about the Sacramento fans couldn't go to Oracle Arena because they get banned or anything like that. But yeah, I did hear the news like what's going on with the NBA in Sacramento. I mean the Kings versus the Hawks, right? It's not about that. It's about the Memphis Grizzly versus the Charlotte Hornet. Yeah, so yeah, two bad news, but I'm gonna only talk about the Memphis versus the Hornet. So last night, I saw the Charlotte Hornet beat the Memphis Grizzly by 61 points. It's really horrible to see that, man. And I could not believe that happened yesterday by a team. So the Memphis Grizzly got destroyed 61 points last night by a team that's not even average, man. Or the team, they didn't even play against the Warrior or Rocket last night. Or a team that shoots a lost three or anything like that. But yeah, just to let you know that Kemba Walker shot like 10 3-point. And he shot like total of 46 points last night. Man, can't believe it, man. I think there's several reasons why the Memphis Grizzly lost 61 points to the Charlotte Hornet. Well, first of all, because they travel back-to-back after they play at the Philly, then they probably get so tired, so they don't perform well when it comes to Charlotte Hornet. Yeah, I mean, travel back-to-back does get you really tiring, but it's not an excuse. There's no excuse, man. But yeah, it does impact a lot of teams back-to-back. But most of the time, they're okay with it. I mean, they're professional. They're supposed to handle it. And Memphis has to deal with a lot of injuries too. So Marc Gasol, Mike Conley, he's been out for the whole season already. But yeah. And also the Memphis are now the worst team in NBA, man. I thought the Phoenix Suns are going to be the worst team in NBA because they've been losing like very crazy, but no. Memphis is the worst. But I feel very bad for the Memphis, man. They had the biggest drop this year, man. I mean, the Memphis Grizzlies was like number 6 in the Western Conference, but all of a sudden they dropped to like number 15. Oh my god. Yeah, at the beginning of the season, they looked like they were dominating, but then they just lose all the time. And then 2018, they just keep losing whenever it comes to the road. They keep losing like over 20 points all the time, man. And also, they just recently, Memphis Grizzlies broke a 19-game losing streak. Because they beat the Nuggets too. This is an embarrassing loss for the Memphis, man. I cannot believe. So the Memphis lost 61 points. So the score was like 79 to 140. So yeah. I think 2 quarters they were outscored by like over 20 points. First and third quarter they were outscored by 23 points. Then second quarter they were outscored by 10, and then fourth, it's done, man. By the time they hit the third quarter, they're already down by 55 points. It's like not good, man. I had never. Do you know why I want to talk about the 61-point loss against Memphis? It's because, man, we have not seen a 60-point loss in the NBA. We have never seen it. Actually, we did, but it was back in the 1900s. But we have not. Nobody have ever seen a 60-point loss since 1998 of February. That's like the Portland Trail Blazers against the Indiana Pacers. The Portland lost like 65 points, but yeah, but I wasn't born back then. The last time the NBA had a 60-point loss. Last time the team had a 60-point loss, I was not born. I was 6 months away from my birth. I was 6 months away. Yeah, because I was born in August of 1998. So it's been like over 20, a little over 20 years, like 20 years and 1 month that we have not seen a 60-point loss. And it's very sad. I'm like, I didn't want this to happen, man. It automatically happened by itself. Like Hornets, I know Hornets is not an average team. I know they're not a good team. I know Hornets is not a playoff team. And so is the Memphis, man. But yeah, it's very unacceptable. And I seen teams that had a really bad game like this. Not just the Memphis, man. The LA Lakers from last year, they get clobbered by the Dallas Mavericks 49 points. Although Dallas Mavericks is close to the worst team in the NBA. Yeah, of 2017. Lakers was like down by 53 and they lost like 49, but now the Memphis lost like 61 points to the Hornets too. I know that 3 years ago the Memphis never faced a 50-point loss. But then starting in November of 2015, the Memphis go against the Golden State and they get swept by 50 points. It's like, dang, dude. And then 2.5 years later, they get swept 61 points. A finance record, man. This is no kidding. This is no joke. The Memphis lost like 61 points. That's the worst loss they have ever faced in their history, man. Even worse than the Golden State Warrior. I mean, Golden State Warrior is their like second biggest loss, which is a 50-point. And then they beat the worst record by like 11 points. So their worst record of losing for the Memphis Grizzly became like 50 to all the way to 61. That's adding 11 points. That's insane, guys. That's insane. Yeah, and the Memphis Grizzly was down as many as 65. But yeah, we do have some very couple bad games this year. Like the very first game, the opening night, just like the Suns versus the Blazers, right? I mean, I thought Suns gonna be down by 60, but they were down by 58. But Memphis was down by 65 against the Hornets. So Memphis even played worse than the Suns. Well, mainly because Suns play at their home. But if the Suns play at the Portland Trail Blazers or Warriors that day, then they're probably gonna lose more than Memphis. Probably a little more. Probably more than 60. Yeah, I knew that this will happen pretty soon because the Memphis, they lost. Yeah, so the Memphis only had their bench player against the Hornets, right? The Hornets has their main player, right? I mean, the Dwight Howard and Kemba Walker, they were playing so well last night, man, against Memphis. Memphis, really, really terrible defense, really terrible offense, too much turnover. My God. Like, Memphis did horrible in everything. They couldn't get rebound or anything like that. Or Hornets, they're just doing their thing. I mean, they were down by 33.5, and then later they get swept, man. I could not believe this. Biggest lead, 65 points, and they win by 61. What does this tell me, man? I mean, good thing they didn't play against the top team, but anyway, that doesn't matter much, man. Well, any team can win huge, and they don't have to be a good team. I'm telling you this, man. You don't want to mess with a non-average team in the NBA. You do not want to mess with, man. Because they can beat you by far, and yeah. Sort of like the Golden State Warriors versus the Utah Jazz, right? I mean, Golden State Warriors, they had never lost 40 points or more. So far, I mean, I think they did lose 40, but that was a few years ago, but it doesn't count because I'm just counting towards now. I mean, Warriors only lost about 30 points to Utah Jazz or anything like that, but yeah. I think if the Warriors are not careful, mainly because of injuries and all that stuff, they could lose 40 or more, just like the Memphis. Other teams can probably lose more if they're not careful. I hope other team is gonna learn from this and they trying to avoid this huge loss, just like the Memphis. Hope this loss does not happen ever again for maybe the next 10 years or 20 years. You're not gonna see a 60-point loss. I'm just telling you guys that. But yeah, I know that Memphis Grizzly this year's are very struggling, man. They're really struggling. I know that when it comes to road, they just get clobbered all the time, man. They get clobbered. And this is not good too. And they get even clobbered at their home too. Do you know why? Do you know the main reason why I give you even one more reason why I make this video? Because both Charlotte Hornet and the Memphis Grizzly defeated the Warrior earlier this season. Right? You know that the Charlotte Hornet defeated the Warrior like 100, 111, 100. I mean, Hornets won at the Warrior like 11 points. And then, you know, at the very beginning of the season, the Memphis beat the Warrior by 10 points. 111 to 101. 2. And the funny thing, man, and the Memphis won the Houston Rocket. The funny thing is that both team, Hornet and Memphis, they beat the best team in the NBA. And then the Hornet swept the Memphis 61 point. Like, Memphis is like, this is a crazy thing for the Memphis, man. I mean, if the Memphis fan ever heard about this, then they'll be disappointing, man. But yeah, I'm disappointing too, and I'm very, very upset. And this is very shocking, man. I feel very sad for this team. This team makes me feel sad. But yeah, I don't know what the Memphis gonna do, but I heard that they fired their coach and stuff, but look like they're gonna have to fire this coach because he just gave them a finance worst loss. Coach not doing their job, players not doing their job. I know they have injuries and stuff, but yeah, they need to do better next time. Just an unfortunate loss. Man. So hope you like this video. Yeah, and this is a very bad news. Oh yeah, and the 61 point, that just, and this just happened yesterday, not today, but man, it even ended up on the news that the Memphis had the worst finance loss in history. This is no joke, guys. It went on the news. And yeah, whenever it goes on news, it's really bad or good, but in this case, it's super bad. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, man. The Memphis need to recover from this before it's too late. And next, I think, yeah, it's definitely too late for the Memphis to make it to the playoff. But then, but good news about Memphis is that they've been being pretty good teams too. They beat the Nuggets, they beat the Warriors, they beat Houston, and I forgot what other team they beat too. But man, I mean, this was honestly the worst loss of the 21st century in the NBA. Worst loss I have ever seen in 2018 in the 21st century. I think the biggest loss that I ever seen in the last 20 years was the Hornets against the Denver Nuggets, which is a 58-point loss against the playoff. I mean, that was like back in 2012 or like 2009 or something like that. But yeah, I think the biggest lead I've seen in the NBA is 58 point. But because of yesterday, now it became a 58 point to a 65 astonishing point. Oh my god. That's too much headache, man. That's just too much. Something is wrong, man. Something is wrong. I hope this, I think, so, yeah, so don't, yeah, I think the biggest loss I ever seen in the NBA was like back in 1991, which is a 60-point loss against the Miami Heat versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, except the Cleveland Cavaliers suck this year, man. They suck. even after the trade too. So yeah, I hope a team does not lose to 69 point or more. If they lose 69 or more, then the 68 point Cavalier victory winning margin is no longer the biggest margin victory in the NBA. Is no longer. Yeah, so Memphis 61 point game loss was like 7 point away from the record. And it's looking very scary, guys. It's looking very scary. Although we do have some like very bad games like back in 2014 or other years, like team lose like 58 and there's one team that lose like 53, one team that lose like 51, one team that lose like 50, but yeah. We do have a 50-point loss game, but just very few. And I say that this is like 1 in 1,000 that this is gonna happen. And it might happen, and this came out true. So 1 in 1,000 that there will be a 60-point game loss in any game. And in any ordinary game. So yeah. So I think I got a subscriber, so I decided to make this video. Really bad news. And it's probably gonna shock you guys a lot. Although this team is not as good as the Warriors, but yeah, Warriors are not even that good too. And these teams happen to beat the best team. It's like really weird. Yeah, so good night and goodbye. I hope you have a good day.